Yeah, look, it's set up to not be the Yeti. That's crazy.
Okay, well, now I feel like we need to redo everything.
Should we start over?
Yes.
All right, we're going to start over.
Because we apparently we accidentally had our microphone set to the wrong setting. Oh my gosh. My God.
Thank goodness for Patrick Murray, right? And we are back.
Well, we already...
on Build Phase TV.
No,
and this time...
we're back with sound. We already did. We're back on the videos.
So I will acknowledge this fault is entirely mine.
We accidentally had the microphone set to the wrong settings.
Well,
so it
and
was
I
trying to do
repositioned
something
my
else.
OBS window so I couldn't see the sound slider. Oh, goodness. Oh, look at that. Banana says we're rookies. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Well,
Okay,
I'm
so...
not the one doing anything here, so technically it's all on you.
Final reveal... Throwing me under the bus.
I'm only here for the reviews.
Final reveal article of the final expansion for the Civil Wars box, for the Civil Wars arc. Scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you?
Like I said when we were muted, I feel like I'm excited for new cards, but I can't really be excited for something that I don't really know if it's going to be good or bad yet.
I'm really pumped for these cards. So far, this arc has been really, really fun. I mean, not every card has been a home run, but so what? The cards that have been good have been really good. Even the cards that aren't maybe tier 1 competitive have done fun and interesting things for the most part. This has been an arc just chock full of things to love. I feel like this last spoiler article is going to be no different.
And when you saw Bullseye, you said that you were happy to see him there. And,
I am.
And when you saw us pull up the Tony Stark's helmet, the team affiliation for Pro Reg, we were talking about if it's funnier than Baron Zemo. Face on the
I think Baron
Masters of
Zemo
Evil
is sillier than
affiliation,
this.
or if this was sillier. We have to turn off slideshow again?
I will.
I hate that thing.
Okay, so
yes, I will
actually, before I dive in, some of these words I did want to highlight here. Last time we looked at cards referring to superpowers. Today we're looking at characters that have only keywords, which is an interesting... I was going to say wrench, but it's an interesting...
Because we have so many cards
element
that
to add.
They need them.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of cards in this arc that focus on characters with superpowers or characters having superpowers or in some way key on superpowers.
So
now
we're not
here
gonna get any
at the tail end,
superpowers?
we're going to get a few keyword focused characters. I hope this doesn't ultimately end up with the focus of the set being a little bit split and it feeling like the superpower stuff didn't get enough support.
I would agree.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to be that way.
Let's hope that this stuff...
I was not expecting to see keyword-focused characters here in the last reveal
And they
article.
said only keyword. No superpowers.
Oh my. Look at Wasp. She is a 1/4/5 with flight and range. Those stats aren't fantastic.
5 health sucks.
Putting the word shrink on a main character might as well be like giving her a few extra hit points.
And when Wasp gets attacked, she gains an XP. That's actually pretty good. But it takes 5. And what happens if you can only use shrink once, but you can literally die as Wasp.
Well, your opponent's going to have to, if they want to get over shrink, they're going to have more board control than you. So this demands a kind of specific answer. Because if your opponent's playing a mid-range deck and they're only playing one character per turn, that shrink could essentially end up functioning like heal 1 health. Heal 1 health.
If you think about it, so shrink, since she needs 5 XP to level, the thing is, I'm pretty sure you'd only be attacked straight up twice possibly, because if you use shrink every single time, unless there have multiple people on the board at all times.
There definitely are times where a shrewd player will catch someone declaring an attack that they expect to have shrinked and then shrunk.
Shrink.
So there are times where somebody maybe throws a character into Wasp, assuming Wasp is going to say shrink, and then she doesn't, and that can sting the attacking player. So shrink, that's definitely less common than shrink just forcing you to have to make 2 attacks where 1 would have otherwise done. But that is something we should mention here, that there's some play around elements to that. If anti-registration Spider-Man has a bad level up, this one is worse. We have to acknowledge that because she only gets XP when she is attacked.
If we act like Shrink isn't on the card, it'd be worse. But I feel like Shrink will allow this level up to be better than Spider-Man's.
There have been some cards that really looked like they wanted a main character like this. There'd been some back row cards that look like really cool utility characters that if you could get them recruited back there and put a big annoying body in front of them like Wasp to block for them.
But what I want to say is Wasp has Shrink, so technically they have she'll only actually have to be attacked twice if they aren't like playing a whole bunch of other characters because that is so
as a Wasp
level.
As a Wasp player, what you want to see is your opponent attacking you twice on turn 1 and 2, and then she gets to level up on turn 3. That's what you would want if you're playing Wasp. Well, let's see what she gets before we get too deep down the road of card analysis. She becomes a 5/5/5.
I don't like
that. Is not an impressive stat line. That's not an impressive bomb.
And now she has Growl.
1/4 to a 5/5. Oof. Keeps flight and range. Keeps Shrink.
When Wasp gets attacked for the first time, each turn you may have her get +5/+5 this combat.
I don't like it.
It's not a good payoff.
I don't like it. Because you have to choose between these two, right? Mm-hmm. So if your opponent throws a trash mob at you to try to just burn the Shrink off, you could choose to not Shrink or not grow. I mean, if it's a trash mob, then you probably don't need the +5/+5 to stun it. But you can't
use either.
You're only going to get each of these once per turn. Mm-hmm. You're either going to Shrink.
And it's the first time.
Or you're going to grow. And it has to be the first one, which means your opponent is going to... You can't really surprise them because your opponent's going to have the ability to box you in. And, okay, I'm going to declare this an attack where you have to Shrink it because the grow isn't going to be good enough. You know, stuff like that. Your opponent's going to be able to essentially narrow your options so down that there's going to be no surprise factor here whatsoever. These stats aren't that great. This level up condition kind of is not the best. It means
that she has to take wins, and she only has 5 health. She doesn't get any more health. I don't like this card.
This is tough. In a world where you can get her down and you're playing things in the back row that are of value that your opponent really needs to get to them, like a Wyatt Wingfoot, say, is... I may be overusing that example recently because I'm so in love with that card. But something like that. A card that if they don't get to it, it's really going to let things start to get out of hand. So they feel some kind of pressure. So they have to get to those value characters. And they also don't have the ability to take flight off Wasp and also don't have stealth. And if you're in a situation where that is the position you're in, then your opponent will have to attack into Wasp and have to level her early. And
I don't like this card still. It's just not good enough. The payoff's not good enough. And
it seems so easy to play around because all you have to do, so you recruit whoever you're going to recruit, you send them into Wasp, maybe she grows and eats them in value trades. Okay, so I lost my character. Now my next attack, I can almost for sure use my MC to run into a 5/5.
Yeah.
Like almost every MC is going to be able to hit her.
I just don't like this card.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough.
I think it's a combination of your opponent being able to control the tempo at which you level. So they could, if you're not playing threats in the back row, they could just not let you level while they develop their own board. Like I could have this big threatening board and I don't have to put any of my guys at risk or even like deal with you until I'm totally securely in control of the board.
And then technically you could also, if you hold it off long enough and you can get out Dark Phoenix, then that Shrink, you can just call keywords and that shrinks.
It feels like this character kind of wants to do what Rogue does in that she hangs out up front and is a target for the opponent, but she doesn't become...
She kills herself in her level. That's her thing, basically. She's killing herself.
Yeah, it's...
I don't like this card. That's
okay. Well, let's move on. We don't need to overtalk.
What?
You didn't see it, do you? Okay, I'm not going to scroll down any further.
I saw a Bullseye.
I saw the card under Bullseye.
I barely saw it.
Okay, well let's...
But I don't exactly know what it is.
I'm tingling now. Okay, Bullseye. Bullseye is a
Are you
2-cost. I'm really excited
Are
for the
you
next
okay?
card. Bullseye is a 2-cost, 4/1/1 with range and
like-
sniper, so he can attack protected. So it's basically stealth, but he can do it as a range.
I like this card.
This is very good.
Might makes right, and he has 5 defense, and he's living the best life.
I mean, I've said before that, like, if you want to play kind of in the 2 to 3 spot, 6 attack is sort of the if you get to 6, you know you can hit just about everything. So there are going to be stuff that is going to get played out to the board that 4 is not going to be good enough to get to.
But he's 2-cost.
But he can make ranged attacks that ignores your opponent's entire front row and gets to hit at things in the back. That feels pretty good.
Let me just say, that ruins Wasp even more.
I also really love this art. I like
do
this art
too.
a great deal.
But why do we just see a little mouth in the background right there?
Oh, yeah.
By his arm, he's like touching that little...
Well, he got knocked out with the Ace of Hearts. So now
How do we know that he's not dead?
he got killed to death with the Ace of Hearts. So this is a good card. I don't think this is very flashy. I'm not like, ooh, setting off fireworks. But if you need a 2-drop that can kill some stuff, this guy can kill
I want to say,
some stuff.
might makes right on him. He has 8 attack, 5 defense, that means, and he can attack anybody in the background whenever he wants.
Banana made the point here that Wasp is going to be annoying to deal with, even if she doesn't end up being that strong. And that is probably
It's
true.
true, but not good enough of a card.
It's the kind of card that if you're going to a serious event, you need to at least think about for a minute, because if you go into that kind of matchup totally cold, without any pre-planning, without thinking about your strategy, you could end up playing into your opponent's hands. So it's a main character I might not build a deck for
It's a tricky
in a
main
gauntlet,
character.
but I would definitely spend some time thinking about the lines and be ready for it, because that is totally the kind of character that might show up at an event as a 1 or 2 of.
It's going to be a tricky character to play, but when people... I feel like if people are going to be able to pull off what she wants, it can be pretty nasty, I'm guessing.
So I saw the next card when I started to scroll down. Are you ready for this?
Yes. Taskmaster! I'm still upset that it wasn't the main character.
Whew. Let's go. He's a 4-cost, 4/4/1.
I don't like that 1 health. I want this guy to have 1 million.
Not the most aggressive stats. But Master Martial Artist. So when he's in melee combat, he becomes an 8/8 on turn 4. That's great.
And predict physical movement. Actually, that is something I have talked about Taskmaster, where his ability to mimic things and their abilities also allows him to see tells in your muscle movement, which is how he can block abilities before you even do them.
So let's see how that is represented here. When Taskmaster enters a melee combat, he gains the printed keyword powers of all other supporting characters in the combat.
I wish it was main characters too.
Notice that this doesn't say enemy. It's all other supporting characters.
So he can do your characters, the enemy's characters. He can do everybody except for mains.
If you declare a team attack, he gets the powers of the people he's team attacking with and the people they're attacking. That's pretty good. Now,
That's awesome.
I cannot not mention the fact that this is a character that does not have range and is clearly wearing arrows on his back. Like that's his bow right there, right? We can see his ranged weapon in the art panel, and he doesn't have range.
Like he always has his sword, his shield, and yes, he has a bow. Okay.
So let's look at the worst case scenario for this guy. You play him out. There aren't any good characters to attack on turn 4. He just kind of sits there, and then your opponent clears him off the board with a 2-drop like Bullseye or Match. Like that's the situation where he's going to look absolutely the worst. But in the situation where he looks the best, you're going to play him out. You're going to have an 8/8 attacker for 4. Maybe hang on. Give me a second. Let me finish this thought here. If you play him out late game, you could maybe couple him with another 3/4 cost character that gives him some kind of super relevant ability, like lethal. I mean, okay, if I'm gonna have him team attack with a Primeval or with Elsa or with Punisher, we're gonna have to do something funny with the team affiliations. But just in that world where he gets a team attack with somebody like Punisher, he's lethal, he has 8/8, he's going to attack way up the curve, maybe he steals a relevant power from... The peak use case for this guy is huge. I'm sorry, you can go. I'm just too excited.
If this guy enters... If he says he's going to enter a combat with somebody that he can't actually hit, but they have an ability that would make it so that he can hit them, will he copy that ability so that he actually can do the combat?
I don't think so. So, like, hypothetically, I have a character with stealth in my back row, and I have a front row person protecting him, and you say, with Taskmaster, I'm going to attack your stealth guy, and because he enters combat, he gets stealth. I don't think it works that way. I think it has to be a legal target for the melee combat. Because by the time he enters combat, the attack has already been declared. Like, the time where we would have checked for stealth has already passed. I think. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Because I was thinking that if that was the case, then that would be awesome. Being able to attack things. So, yeah. I still wish there was a main character Taskmaster. I have actually made my own fan-made one.
Patrick's agreeing with me that you have to be able to legally declare the attack. So, I could have sworn they told us we weren't going to see a Taskmaster in this next set.
They were lying to us.
I bet what they said was we weren't going to see a Taskmaster main character.
Oh, why do they keep on holding it up? I need that MC. I need it.
So is this guy better than the 3 cost? The 3 cost is a 3/6 who copies all enemy printed keywords and powers. So he is able to benefit from things like stealth and range to make attacks he wouldn't otherwise make.
But he would have to team attack
but he's a 3/6. This guy's a 4/4, or realistically,
well, no, this guy...
he's an 8/8. I mean, let's be real. If it's turn 4 and you're not going to have the ability to use him as an 8/8 on turn 4, you probably just don't recruit him. You probably do something else with your turn.
This is the guy that you don't want to play on turn 4. You save him for a while when they're starting to play bigger characters, and then you play him then, and then you team attack with all your big characters that have pretty big, good abilities. And then he has all these insane abilities. You don't want to waste them all on turn 4.
I think he's good on turns. He's amazing on 4. He's really good on 5. He's viable on 6. And by the time you get to 7, him plus something he can team attack with is probably good enough to hit 7s and maybe some 8 drops. This guy's really good. Like really good.
And wait, it's only keywords. I was hoping it would be all powers so that I could do insane things like team attack with a sentry. And I know that everybody hates sentry, and I hate him
not
too,
everybody.
But I want to say, I wish that sentry's ability was anytime, and I wish that Taskmaster could copy any abilities so that I could put 21 plus 1 counters on Taskmaster. I want to do it.
Well, let's review the cards we have, not the cards we wish we had. So
I haven't made a fan-made
the use cases for this guy are going to be
unlimited almost.
There's going to be very few times where you're going to be sitting at turn 4, 5, or 6
and not
with this guy in your hand and be like, crap, I don't have any good plays. Which is not something you can say about a lot of 4-drops. There aren't that many 4-drops that you can play throughout the entire mid-game and feel good about it.
So let's go to the next card.
Wow.
I love this card. I wish there was an MC, okay? I want one.
Wow. Man, that one is really good. Wow. Okay, Lady Deathstrike. So this is a character Taskmaster could team attack with. Is this going to be the new Jessica Jones? Now every time we look at a Pro Reg guy, we go, he could team attack with Taskmaster. All right, so she has Martha...
Oh my god, let's go!
Okay, so she has Martial Artist, which gives her +2/+2, which that means if she team attacks with Taskmaster, he becomes a 10/10. And she's a 6/6, so that means on turn 7 you could be attacking for 16/16 with these two characters.
I can't pronounce that word. I'm sorry, everyone.
Adamantium Nails.
Adamantium?
Each enemy character's defense can't be higher than its printed defense while it's in melee combat with Lady Deathstrike. This basically just turns off your opponent's ability to use +1 counters. So if you have Sentry out there that you've activated on twice.
Nobody ever cares about Sentry.
Obviously 16 isn't going to get there, but or 16 wouldn't get there, but with Adamantium Nails, instead of being a 41, he's a 1.
Yeah.
Cards like not Shock to the System, but cards like Find Cover, this totally negates them. Super Senses, it just prevents any kind of plot twists or counter tricks, and it makes your opponent have to fight with their fair stats, which that's a really good power. I mean, it's a little bit situational because you still have to be able to get over whatever their printed stat is. So like a guy like Namor, this is not that big of a deal for Namor.
Namor, the problem with him is if you attack this person into Namor, it makes Namor better. Because Namor's thing is that he gets -1s per turn, and they can't have the -1s.
No.
Oh, no.
Can't be higher. It can be lower.
Oh, okay. Well, then it doesn't help your opponent. Let's go. Yes! I really thought that could.
There are only 4 characters who have a defense of 7 or more through 3 drops. So she takes out everything in melee combat. Yeah, and this is a character that attacks for 6 on turn 3, which is a benchmark attack value. This is a good card. So even...
This is awesome.
I came at this with the perspective of, hey, this being a character that I can team attack with Taskmaster with because I'm really excited about Taskmaster. But if I set Taskmaster aside for a moment...
This is still a good character.
This is a great 3-drop all by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she gets like nullified or Cosmoed or something and loses all of her powers, 4/4 on 3 is not... Like, it's not amazing, but it's not the end of the world. And if your opponent's using a Cosmo to deal with her, I think you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to go back to Taskmaster for a second.
I want to go back to Taskmaster too.
Okay, so when Taskmaster enters melee combat, he gains all the printed powers. So even if they're nullified, can't he still gain them because they're printed on the card, even if they aren't?
No, because remember, if I play the nullifier,
it's like a clear,
and I say adamantium nails, it makes characters on your side lose and can't gain.
So technically, even though it's still printed on the card, that also makes it so that Taskmaster, when he tries to copy it, he would attempt to copy it
and
loses it.
He can copy it because of predict physical movement, but can't trumps can. But when nullifier says can't.
And when you Cosmo on level 2, I'm pretty sure you have to target a character. So
Cosmo level 2, I don't remember how he works off the top of my head. I think you name a power, and it works basically like a nullifier, but you get to recruit every turn. Yeah, so it's this. I think Cosmo level 2 is the same thing.
Man, I'm excited for these.
Jason Roosevelt commented that the differentiating strong melee attack from strong range via keywords like martial artist, and I agree. I like that we're getting specialist characters on the melee front. I mean, it used to be melee was just strictly worse than range, and now melee is getting some cool tools to make it a little bit better. But because these cool tools only trigger in melee combat, your ranged characters now are sort of getting like a backdoor buff. Like a character like Match is already an absolute staple, a terrific card, but in a format where things like Lady Deathstrike and Taskmaster are running around, Match is even better. Mm-hmm. Not that he's ever bad in like any deck ever.
If you nullify his... this is a card that we've already seen.
Why are we looking at here? Hang on.
This is the end of the... Oh, wait, no, we're getting new versions?
So, yes, you would get a 6/6 melee and a team attack with Lady Deathstrike. Okay, you may remember our next character from his recent appearance. Oh, okay.
So it's just a new character.
Well, he's back. So before we go any further and even look at the card, Pro Reg, Radioactive Man, Masters of Evil, Radioactive Man, who looks better, just on the basis of the card art?
I think the Masters of Evil looks better. This guy looks like he's in his nightgown.
I think this one is a little more dynamic, but I like being able to see pretty much the whole character in this one.
This guy looks like he's in a nightgown.
So both of these guys are 5-drops. Let's see what the new Radioactive Man does. He is a 5/5/2 with range. Can't let it go by without saying we like characters with multi-health on this team. Radiation Absorption. When Radioactive Man powers up, put an extra +1 counter on him for each superpower on your side.
This whole box is about not having superpowers. You're kidding me.
Well, but you could build your deck to have superpowers. So let's see what you would... In this sort of deck, you're going to run Call. You're going to run Radioactive Man. Like, if you want to play this... You're going to run the
character who can search for anybody in your deck that... you're going to run character 2.
And then you want to run characters that have superpowers so that when you do this... Because if there's no characters on your side with superpowers, it's just a regular power-up. That seems like a lot.
I mean, he has range. He's a 5/5/5 cost. But still, that ability is kind of good. It depends on where you put him.
Well, here's what I think. I think this is the kind of card that you don't start with it in your deck.
But
you start by working on a deck, and at a certain point you realize, hey, this deck has a lot of superpowers early in the game, and I'm already running Call. I could run Radioactive
This
Man.
guy's the guy that you put in when you are cutting characters and you don't know what characters you want to put in when you kind of test the deck.
So there are cards that are just generally good, and you can kind of throw in any deck, like Kane. While
Dark
he might,
Phoenix?
No. While Kane might not be good in every deck, he's not going to hurt you. Like Floki is a card that if you put her in the wrong deck will actively hurt you and make it harder to win the game. Kane is not like that. Radioactive Man, while I don't think he's as serious a case of that as Floki is, he definitely is a card that the deck has to come first. You don't start with this guy on your playmat like, oh, this is the hot 5-drop.
This is your new Dark Phoenix, everybody.
Like, if I'm not sure what I want on turn 5 in a deck, I'm gonna just grab something like She-Thing, Domino, Punisher.
Domino out of all those.
There's a bunch of other 5-drops that are sort of generally good. But again, if you get into building the deck and you... Joey. And you realize... Joey, come here. And you realize that you have a high density of superpowers like on your main character and on your early curve, so that on turn 5 when you play him, all he has to do is power up once and he's like a 9-9 or a 10-10. That could be a really strong turn 5 play. I think he has to be at least an 8-8 to make him worth the slot, because you're paying 2 cards for an 8-8 on turn 5.
Yeah.
And you could just play something like Luke Cage, who becomes an 8-8 all on his own.
What I feel like is, yes, this is a character that you don't put in the deck originally, like you said. Why are you staring at Joey all again?
I think Joey feels like he's not getting enough attention.
Like you said, this is a character that you don't put in the deck originally. This is a character that you put in the deck after you realize that you have a lot of superpowers in your deck, or if you have a lot of superpowers in your deck and you cut something and you just don't know what card should go in next.
Yeah.
You know. So
I'll pick you up.
it can be a good card, but then again, in some situations, it can be a bad card.
I think it's the kind of card that's going to require a very specific deck.
Yes, it's really good in the right deck and not good at all in the wrong deck.
Yeah, he's not a generally good character, mainly because he asks so much of you. Now, if you just have to play him, like if you get this guy in Sealed or in a draft box or something, and you look at this, 5 attack with range on turn 5 is pretty not good.
I kind of read in the background the thing that's under him, and it's kind of funny, in my opinion.
That's a little below grade, I think, for what you want on turn 5.
It just depends on what you would draft with him, you know.
Well, and in draft, are you even going to get enough power-ups to make his thing worth it?
Yeah.
So this might be a card that kind of doesn't have the best home right now.
What I want to say is, if you put him in the right place, he could be insane good. But in any other deck where it's not the perfect deck, he's just not
and the thing
good
is,
at all. He's horrible.
The power-up deck, like the cards that I generally think of as being part of the power-up package, most of them, Floki doesn't have any superpowers. Captain Britain benefits from power-ups, doesn't have any superpowers. Spider-Man 2099, Punisher 2099, none of these cards have superpowers.
Yes, but the thing is, this character, when you play him in the right place, this isn't going to be in the most power-up heavy deck. If you play him, you're probably going to play a more superpower heavy deck, but you're also going to play him just for a little bit of a benefit. I feel like in the right place, he's monstrously good. In the wrong place, he's pretty horrible.
And it's kind of
he's just bad.
It's kind of a narrow place. You need a place with Call.
He's really good,
where you have
really
the slots
horrible
to maybe even run extra power-ups for him and a dense low curve of superpower. So anyway, I'm just saying the same thing over and over again.
So yeah, this character is either really good
Did you see what Banana said?
Doesn't even ever make it out of the box.
The best home for this card is my binder.
Maybe the Shredder.
I don't know that I would have phrased it that way, but he's
Maybe
pretty
the
narrow.
Shredder.
No, stop. At the very least, he would be a coaster and stop drink rings on the table, right?
He doesn't even deserve that.
Okay, so let's look
the
at
wrong
Songbird.
place.
This is another pro registration 5-drop. Flight range 642. Not super impressed with those stats on a 5-drop.
Didn't read the little
What?
comment. They were asking themselves.
Hey,
why
he cares about superpowers. How did he sneak into this article?
I just thought that was a little funny comment. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I guess as a team attack, hey, Jason pointed out that if this guy team attacks with Taskmaster, Taskmaster gains this power, and you could power up Taskmaster. Again, yes, that's good, but you still need to have a board that has, I think, at least, like, minimum 2, probably 3 to feel good about it, superpowers on board.
In the deck where it's superpower heavy, but you don't play him in the deck where it's power up heavy. He has a strange place.
Yeah.
But
that is a good line, though.
Yeah.
If him and Taskmaster attack together and you can power up both of them, that could be gigantic.
Oh my gosh. So, Songbird.
I do feel like, in general, a lot of these pro registration cards are less powerhouse amazing on their own and a little bit more synergistic, while some of the anti-registration cards have been a little bit more just standalone powerful and less reliant on
Yeah, I agree.
synergies with their curve.
So,
I wonder if that was intentional. It almost seems kind of thematically appropriate. You know, SHIELD, the government, is pro-registration. Like, they are the side of working together, whereas anti-registration is sort of united by not liking the pro-registration, but they don't really necessarily have like a
they don't
unifying
like each
core.
other, but they don't like them.
Well, some of them don't like each other. I mean, Punisher straight up murks a couple guys on his own side. He's like, they're villains, you know? Okay, so let's look at Songbird, though, because we're not getting to Punisher. Let's see what she does. 5 cost, flight range, 642, like that, 2 health.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Acoustic.
I was trying to pronounce it while you were talking. When you were talking, I was actually looking closely trying to pronounce that.
Acoustikinesis. I bet that's how it's supposed to be said. Acoustikinesis.
Acousta what?
So when Songbird appears, so note this is appears, not recruits, which means this will work off things like Singularity, Doorman, etc.
Choose one. Sonic, Force Field. Choose another character on your side. That character can't be struck this turn. Sonic, Platform. This turn, other characters have Flight, Wall, in her row.
Those are both good powers.
Yes, and if you can Singularity that will be infinite, possibly.
I'm not crazy about this stat line on turn 5. But if she fits into a deck where you kind of build decent board advantage over the first 4 turns of the game and play her, and now all of a sudden all your dudes have wings and you just come over the top of your opponent's
This is a support character.
Wasp or whatever useless flyer they think is in the front row that's going to save them. That could be pretty cool. This could be kind of a tech 5-drop, which 5 is a little bit expensive for a tech card, but the Sonic Force Field power I think is less good than the Sonic Platform, but it's still very good.
The Sonic Platform, I'm gonna say, if they have a Falcon in the front row, it just does plain out nothing. Possibly.
Yes.
Because you have to kill a Falcon with a character that doesn't have flight.
Yeah, so don't be careful not to use Songbird and give all your characters flight when your opponent has a solitary Falcon.
And then they realize that, oh, shoot!
That would be a big misplay.
The biggest misplay of all time.
The only time that is the correct line of play is if you're playing against me, in which case I fully encourage it, right?
So that we win.
So I think this is a good 5-drop.
My favorite thing that I encourage is play Adam Warlock, never ever attack into any of my big guys and let me kill you with a Nick Fury.
I think it should be mentioned there are going to be times where she just kind of gets hosed. A situation like if your opponent
a big support, though. Has
a blocking Falcon, her flight Sonic Platform might not work, and the not being struck back thing might not be relevant. But a 6 attack with range is pretty decent. I mean, on turn 5, 6 attack is starting to fall a little below grade.
I want to say this much. If you can do what you said, a Singularity, and then just continue to make it so that none of your characters can get struck, or if you have one like key character, and then you make it so that it can't get struck on repeat, That could be insane.
There are definitely going to be times where you have, like, I'm drawing a blank on her. Miss Marvel, like that 15 attack glass cannon. She's got a huge attack. She's got a really tiny defense. A card like this could let you get multiple swings out of her. And if you're coupling that with something like Bert's John Cena, where you're singularity and stuff out, you could be doing that combo like every turn and like picking off dudes for 15 at a pop. As a body, I'm a little bit less. This character is
support.
Good enough to play and not like feel miserable. But if you're the only reason you're putting her in your deck is because of her body, I think you could do better. I would rather have Domino just in terms of like stats.
Honestly, I think this character is going to make it in some tournament decks, but in certain ways. I feel like this character isn't meant to be like the big attacker. I feel like this character is meant to be the support for your big attacker.
I think if you put her in your deck, you are doing it because you want to give everybody flight, because you're predicting the ability to go over the top of your opponent somewhere in the mid to late game. And
that's what will allow her to actually become probably a character used in some aggro decks.
I'm not sure I know what a jobber is, Bert. Songbird seems like a jobber. Do you know what that means? I don't think I know what that means, man.
I don't.
Like you put her in your deck because she has a specific job to perform, like Sonic Platform. If that's the intention, then I totally agree with that. I think Sonic Force Field is nice gravy. This is probably not the reason you run her, but there are 100% going to be times where
you only run her for that.
Well, I don't think you put her in the deck for that, but you might play her for that.
Singularity to have an infinite Galactus.
I mean, there are times where getting just one value trade
Or that one Hulk
makes all the difference. I mean, I think back to my match last year, the Battle for the Soul of the Versus Collective, where powering up my Galactus that one time just so I could get that one value trade really was the core of what let me get ahead in that game. So value trading is really, really important. Oh, so Bert thinks the text is blank and you just play her to fight with her. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think if you are playing... if you want to play a 5-drop that comes down and just shoots something, you can do better than this.
What I'm going to say is this character, it's definitely, you don't play her to do that kind of thing. What I feel like is you play her in aggro deck and give everybody flight and then just destroy their whole turn and everything.
I mean, in terms of just fighting, I'd rather have Punisher. 7 attack with lethal. That can
Punisher
maybe
2099
and Punisher kind of has the Sonic Force Field power, except it costs a red. You can make himself not get struck. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think this is a bad card.
This card is gonna shine.
And you know what? One thing, a criticism I want to acknowledge. Banana pointed out that our critique of Green Goblin was largely based on the idea that cards like Primeval Hunter, Jessica Jones exist. But from the perspective of a new player, the first stuff they purchased was the Civil War arc. If you don't have Punisher, she's fine. If you don't have She-Thing, if you don't have Domino, you can totally play her and not feel like you're taking a turn off. And that is a level of analysis that we should definitely acknowledge because it's important, especially with this product being targeted at new players. What were you trying to say?
I say... Yes, but I feel like when you actually... But that card will stop being used the longer that you play, because the more experience that you play, the more boxes you get, and that means the more characters you see will.
I think a player who has a full collection is only going to include this card in their deck for the ability of it being either the very top or close to the top end of an aggro deck where you're going to have board control and you want to give everybody flight.
Or a singularity type thing where you get to have like an infinite
Could you imagine her if in some sort of a mixed format where you play this and all your Outriders get flight?
No, what I was thinking was in a mixed format where you use the Hulk and say infinity on repeat, and then you give him so that he can't take any wounds on repeat, and then you just have an infinite living, infinity attack and defense.
But he only gets to attack once per turn.
Yeah.
And I think in that case, in that case, her single character power wouldn't be very helpful either because he's infinity, right?
Well, no, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure after he like gets a counter or something, he loses it or gets.
I don't really remember how photographic Hulk works. And probably that's a combo that's not going to see much play since we don't get many mixed formats.
It'd be awesome to do.
But with regard to Songbird, if you have a limited collection, I think you could use her as a fighter, like Bert suggested. I think once you have a bigger collection, there's better options for that.
This character can end up in combos.
But her Sonic platform is still going to be relevant. I think that's the last card. It is, and these cards are supposed to be out less than a week from now. I cannot wait. Let's go through these one last time, and we're gonna do our deal.
5 more days, correct?
All right, Wasp, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs medium.
Sideways.
Sideways
because when you find out how to play her, she can be really good, but she can be played around so easily.
I know I'm gonna play this character. I'm gonna bring this character to Friday Night Versus with my friends, and I'm gonna make Joe really mad at me with her. That is gonna happen.
Is that your main goal, is making people mad at you?
And that makes me say, well, if I know I'm going to have fun with her, I can't say thumbs down.
It's a sideways for me.
So I think I got to say thumbs medium because at a tournament table, I think she's going to be a thumbs down.
And I'm just going to say it now, all the other characters are definitely going to be thumbs up for me.
No. We got to do it in order. How dare you? All right, Bullseye. I think this guy's a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Not the flashiest character.
Can be insane good.
Again, from the perspective of a player who doesn't have like a full... oh no, John just joined in. He missed us react to Taskmaster.
Wait. Okay. What I was saying is, I wish that there was a main character, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Yes, I wish there was a main character too.
I made my own fan made.
So for Bullseye, are we both a thumbs up on Bullseye?
Thumbs up.
Okay. Taskmaster?
Yes.
Yeah.
I still think that this character...
This guy is fire. This guy is going to be... I'm not sure if ultimately he's going to end up being better than the 3-drop Taskmaster, but I think he is going to be widely played, widely loved, in the conversation of some of the best cards at his slot. I think his upper bound of potential is enormous, and it only gets better the more cards we have. Every time we get a card that says something...
There's only one thing that I have to criticize about him. Well, no, 2 things.
Okay.
Technically. I wish his ability also triggered on main characters, because it only says supporting characters. And I also
that might
wish
be a little much.
It was also any power, so that he could also use some superpowers from the characters on his side and the enemy side. That would be so much better.
3-drop Taskmaster also doesn't copy superpowers. So
yes.
That could be a thematic balancing. And that also kind of fits the character.
I don't want it to be balanced.
He doesn't copy superpowers, though. He has mimetic memory. He looks at how people use their bodies, how they move, but he can't shoot fire because he sees a guy shoot fire. Although I see your point.
Well, he can technically mimic it, but not actually do it because he doesn't have the power. Also, a fun fact about him is his power actually came at the cost where he doesn't remember his childhood. Because technically, him having to know all the things that he has to mimic and everything, his brain technically overrided all of his childhood.
We should do an episode just about Taskmaster.
I mean, I'd be okay with that.
So, Banana pointed out that Upper Deck gets +1 for giving us a Taskmaster preview on the release day of Black Widow. I agree. I think that was cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that, too.
Black Widow's coming out today.
Before we get too far afield, though, what was I talking about? I was saying something. Oh, as more characters get printed, every time a character comes out with the words team up on that card, it opens up another team affiliation of characters that Taskmaster can attack with. Currently, he can team attack with anybody who wants to if you run Ironheart, who isn't the best, Guardians, Hydra, and isn't there one other team up character? I think it might just be 4-drop Star-Lord and 3-drop Hydra guy. I feel like there was another one, though. Well, either way, every time we see that power, this guy gets that much better. Like, this guy's great.
I think there is, but I just can't quite remember who it is because I don't look that much into
in a mixed format where you have access to Life on the Hellmouth, and you can get him to be able to team attack with any character you want.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, the possibilities are so endless. So, 2 thumbs up, 10 thumbs up. Way up. This guy's
over.
Is amazing.
Thousands of
really.
This guy's over 1,000% good.
And he's amazing in a way where you can definitely screw up. Like, there's a little bit of skill testing stuff here. You can play him in dumb ways where you don't get a great payoff.
But
so
even
it's
then,
not just a generically
he's not his own Dark
amazing
Phoenix.
card. It does require you to think about it a little bit. I love this card.
So much. I still am annoyed that he doesn't have range.
Except he's holding a ranged weapon right here. He's carrying a ranged weapon and doesn't have range. That I don't love, but everything else about this card I love. I love.
I like
Lady
this
Deathstrike.
card. Definitely thumbs up.
Good card. Good card.
We aren't gonna look at the. Look at the past card. I did do the review for those.
So I'm a little conflicted on this one.
Okay, this is the guy I forgot. I think
So here's how I'm gonna grade this
it's
card.
either thumbs up or thumbs down.
From the perspective of I'm a brand new player, the only versus products I have are Civil War, Secret Avengers, and Thunderbolts. This guy has no home.
No.
He's kind of just a dead slot in your collection as a new player.
That's not actually.
I don't think he's a dead card 100%. Like, once you have a bigger collection, there are going to be decks where he fits. But from the perspective of a new player...
This entire set was based on basically superpowers and stuff. So he can be good. The times when he's good, he's amazing, I'm guessing. But the times when he's not in the right place...
If all you have is the Civil War arc, that means you have, if you put him on the board, you have exactly 3 other cards out of your 60 that can trigger that power, and you have to build a board of superpowers. And we're expecting people that are new to the game to have the kind of deck building efficiency and line selection to pull all this off.
I'm going to say sideways, and the reason I'm saying sideways is because when you're an older player, you can find out where he's good, and when you find out when he's good, he's amazing.
Okay, that's fair.
But otherwise, from the eyes of a new player, yes, he's just gonna sit in the binder. You are never gonna find a place for him.
Well, let me do this. You've persuaded me. As a new player, thumbs down. As an established player, thumbs medium.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of giving that.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. So
he is going to have a home.
Once.
There is absolutely going to be a deck where this guy fits, but it's going to be super narrow, and it's not going to be new player friendly.
Yes, this is going to be a card for more experience.
Songbird.
This guy, thumbs up.
I think thumbs up. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not excited about her the way I'm excited about Taskmaster.
Oh.
I don't think she's as good at the drop as
Radioactive.
Lady Deathstrike. Like, she's a little bit less awesome than Lady Deathstrike. How do I want to say this? Lady Deathstrike as a 3-drop is better than Songbird as a 5-drop. Yes, Banana, I agree. Radioactive Man's a weird inclusion for a new player-focused arc. But she's still good. I still think she's good. Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up for sure. I'm going to say this every single article until it comes. We need a Taskmaster main character. We need a Carnage main character.
After once some Marvel movies start coming out again, I bet we're going to see a Taskmaster in photo. Unless Black Widow sucks as a movie. I don't know.
Don't want a photo Taskmaster.
I shouldn't even say that out loud.
It's
going to be good. It's going to be good.
I want a good photographic and a illustrated version of a Taskmaster main character. Okay?
Yes. It would be cool to get an illustrated Taskmaster main character. I agree. Okay, so I think that's it for all these. Yeah, I would like to see a playable Moon Knight. Not, even just a supporting character. The supporting character Moon Knight we have is not good.
Oh yeah, we don't have that good of a Moon Knight.
So how do we feel about this expansion as a whole? Do you think, based on the previews that we've seen, that this is going to be a good addition from the perspective of a new player who wants to play pro registration teams?
This will be... You're going to get it for different cards. You aren't going to get it for certain cards, because there are some cards that, even in a new player, you're going to see are insane good. And you aren't going to get this for every card. You're going to want the ones that some of the ones that we've seen here, where some of them are extremely good and some of them are just...
I think it's a hit.
You're gonna have to get.
I think it's a home run.
Yeah.
Even with some cards
with the bad radioactive man.
Like Green Goblin, I don't think is the coolest card in the world. Wasp, I don't think is the coolest MC. Even with some and this kind of
he looks like he's in a nightgown. Okay.
Oddly placed tunic besotted radioactive man.
He looks like he's in a nightgown.
I think the cards in here that are good are good enough that you're going to buy the set, you're going to feel excited to have it, you're going to have lots of stuff to play with. This is not... Am I boring you? Did you just yawn at me? How dare you?
No.
This is not like Monsters Unleashed where you buy the box and yes, there's a few cool tools and there's so much binder fodder. I'm two thumbs up on the expansion, and I haven't even seen every card in it. And given the density of good cards we've gotten so far, I have total faith that in the remaining cards there's going to be at least a couple more pure gems. Let me just say,
whatever page your kid kaiju is on inside your binder, that page, it's about time it goes into the shredder.
No, stop. Stop.
It's a horrible card.
Have I ever told you about Bert retiring cards?
Oh, I remember that one.
So,
I remember
here at the end of the live stream, I'm going to tell a little story. This took place at Gen Con... No. Midwinter 2020. And we all got... Well, not all. In fact, many of us didn't get our league promos. But Bert was one of the few people who did get the league promo.
Up his other
and he
card.
How are you going to step on the end of my story? How dare you? So he gets the promo Iceman, and we're all back at the house after playing at the event, and Bert's like, oh, well, I got 4 of these, or I got enough of these promos. I don't need this one now. And he pulls the one-drop Iceman out of his binder, and he's like, time to retire it, and tears it into pieces. And this is a room full of other card nerds. Like C-Stacks was there, Peter from the now defunct Team Attack podcast. I think Carlos was there, Joe, John, but everybody's like,
oh my God.
Which I'll admit was my reaction, but in retrospect, with a clear head, I kind of respect it. I kind of like the idea of, like, I've got exactly 4 copies of this card. I don't need any extras, and the extras, I will tear up. I wouldn't do it, but I kind of respect it.
I just want to say, you don't need an extra Kid Kaiju to tear him up.
I will say my extra Kid Kaijus, I got signed by Danny and Bennett, signed out as prizes long ago.
Yeah,
okay. So do we have any parting thoughts other than Taskmaster?
MC Taskmaster.
Okay.
Needy.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be it for the card reveals for today.
We should have said that, Joey's coming on this review.
Until next time, go win some games. All right, Joey? All right. We'll see you guys next time.